let's get this started. Third time's a charm. I literally just clicked play. I think I had something on my mind earlier. It was a good day today. Good day. I can't take the goodness of the day away, especially if I feel a certain way. Yeah, it's just what I feel. The day was good. The topic of this video, I kind of want to... I want to try and search my own mind for a little bit and be honest about my own motivations to why I want to write. It's a Sunday. There's a whole week ahead, and I think I'm just a little bit worried about that week. There's quite a lot of things to do later on in the week. In the earlier parts, not so much. Not as though I have to do a lot of work to catch up on the end, but I'm a bit scared for the week, I'm looking at things I have to do, and I'm a little bit... I feel as though I'm forgetting things, but I think that's always a thing for me, just personally. I always feel like I've forgotten one or two minor things, and realistically they are things that are okay to not be in my life, but I'm just sad that I forget them. About being a writer. I think that my reasons aren't as deep as what I'd like them to be. Multiple occasions people have asked why, because it's an obvious question. It's an easy question. It's a nice question. It's the right question, I'd say. You just ask, well, why do you want to do this? And it's not like I'm saying, why would you ask that question? But I think when I answer it, it always contains a lot of flowery language. Really flowery language. Really existential language. Really... I'm trying to justify it, Because who would not try to justify it, Why do you want to be the greatest rugby player of all time rather than just do what normal people would do and support themselves? And it's a slight tangent here, but I do feel like whenever there's anything brought up to do with dreams like writing, I don't like to separate myself. I don't like to do that thing where it's you put yourself on a pedestal and you say I'm a dreamer and everybody else is a construction worker. Like, please, I'm a normal person. You're a normal person. Like, we're not better. There's no one's superior because they want to go for their dreams. I hope everyone can go for their dreams, but that's life, innit? But I have these things, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be the best rugby player over just a regular construction worker. There's nothing wrong with being a construction worker over the world's best rugby player. I think it's just about what you want to do. Too many times in my life, in response to these things, but also convincing myself, I've forced myself to believe that I needed these existential reasons. Obviously, in the background there, if you can catch that, then you're a real one. But yeah, I have my deep reasons for doing what I do. I have my reasons to why I want to write, and some of them are quite heavy, personal. But I think there's also a lack of that, which isn't void, but it's full of something else. It's full of natural whimsy and childlike wonder and gratitude, and I think that's the place where I'd like to touch on, and I'd like to be there quite often. Sometimes I'm far too into those reasons. I'm into those big philosophical holes that I find myself in because I want to justify that this work I'm about to do is like the world's great, like it's needed in the world, you know. It's not. But I think that's the point. If you want to write, you know. If you want to be anything, be it. I mean, because you are it, right? You are it. Um, Being seen as it is a different thing. It's just my reasons for being a writer can't always be existential. Otherwise, you're not going to find any solace in it. You know, I don't think I need to find solace in my writing. I'm not doing it for that, but I do feel like it's a part of me as a person. That's a big ask. I feel as though writing is a part of who I am, and me without that, there's a big gap there. There's a big hole. I don't think I could fill that up with being a sports player or. I think I could fill it up with painting. Probably not. Knowing me, but yeah, I like painting. I'm not good at it, but I like it. Then again, I genuinely see more future prospects in writing than I do painting. I look at painting as a pastime, but when I look at writing, I live my life every single day as though I'm gonna make a living off of it. You know, I know, I know there's bills to be paid, and there's shifts that run over. There's shifts that are on days that you don't want them to be on, but I expect that it's gonna pay. You know, not expect as in it has to and I deserve it, but I live with a level of hope that my purpose will fulfill my life, and the writing is my purpose, and that's the deep part. That's the purpose, you know. It has a steam in my life that nothing else does, nothing else has. I think there's things that are higher than it, don't get me wrong, but it's a thing personal to me. I have something that I really love, really love, and I could pull out a quote, you know. Somebody sent me a TikTok the other day, a good friend, and it was like, find what you would die for, then live for it. That I like that. It touched me. But then all of this stuff fills my heart. But then what else, right? What if there's a moment like now where I'm just a little bit tired or worn out, and I'll be honest, I don't want to get existential right now. I don't want to get deep, and I know I might be using the word existential loosely. You know, I don't want to get in my head. If anything, I can't be bothered to read, like that last video. You know, found myself a hypocrite. But I'm going to. Don't worry. I'll keep my word. But there's times like now where I don't want to get all deep, and I think that my reasons for wanting to be a writer in this time are quite mellow, and I need these ones as much as I need the big ones. You know, everything I've just said. It's okay to want to do something for the sake of wanting to do it. I'm not going to save the world with my writing. I'm not going to change lives with my writing. I believe Steinbeck changed mine. I remember, if I could, I'll share a little story. I was reading Mice and Men in the library in uni. This must have been a couple of years ago now. And I was reading a big, thick, black hardback with a lot of other stories in there. It had the Red Pony, it had The Moon is Down, it had. I don't think it had The Pearl. Didn't have The Pearl. But finished that last page and I was weeping. And I think I like to be moved, and I like to feel, and I like to have, you know, emotion, ties, connections to just things in the world. But then I'll also read a book and I'll giggle. And I think that's just as valid. And I think it's the same thing with the writing. You know, tangent after tangent here. It doesn't have to be anything deep. You know, that Yeti story I mentioned, I just want to do it for the sake of doing it. I'm not a good talker. It's me trying to iron this stuff out too. Like, this is solely just for myself. I'm going to look back on this and I'm going to think, okay, what were you talking about? And I'd have hopefully had the Yeti story done, and I can look at it in retrospect. But my point is that the words like retrospect, existential, connection, all these words I've used, I think they're quite deep. And you can find ways to get deeper and deeper with them. But why I want to be a writer doesn't always have to be that. It can quite simply just be, I grew up on cool stories, and I think that I'd like to contribute a verse. Shout out to Robin Williams. I don't know how I've referenced Dead Poets Society in 2 out of 3 videos. It's not even my favourite movie. It's Good Will Hunting. Well, there you go then. Yeah. But yeah, I just want to be a part of it, and you could get deeper in with that, I guess. But I don't want a deep reason all the time. I don't want something super like intense of an emotion all the time to why I want to write. I've wrote poems before which have just been like, I'm tired, you know? I'm tired and I'm about to go to bed. In the morning I'll do this. It's not a good poem. But, you know, very basic, just real things to connect the poetry to my real life, to connect the writing to my real life. To just be like, look, you're a man who wants to write. It doesn't have to be deeper than that. You don't have to write the world's greatest poem right now. You can just write something that's happening. You could just write whatever. Really, that's the point. You can just write whatever, and you are a writer, and that's fine. There's no deeper reason. And if I'm honest, there is no deeper reason anymore, because it's been so long since I started that I've kind of forgotten. And I have to go fishing for these reasons. You know, these heavy ones. You know, I have to explain, you know, my first Netflix show, or the first show I ever watched, like, alone, outside of, you know, sitting downstairs with my mom after school and stuff, was Daredevil on Netflix. And then I got into comics, and I got into and, you know, and I could keep going on and on and on, and why I joined uni, and why I did the undergrad there in lit and writing, and you know, how I went on like a prayer, I went on a whimsy, I went on a hope that I would get through that, and I got through that. You know, I could go through all the reasons of how it started, but it gets lost in translation because I'm a different person at all those points of times, and I just don't think it needs to be that serious. I don't know how I've gotten 40 minutes in and I've finally just said it, but I don't think it needs to be that serious all the time, or ever, really. You know, for me it sometimes does. For others, why would it need to be? I don't know. It's their own lives, but I don't think it has to be a deep reason to why someone has to write. And this perspective is coming from someone who wants to have deep reasons to write all the time. So if you're looking for a connection emotionally to my words, I guess it's that. There's a lot of emphasis on the fact that my writing is a part of me, but there's times where I don't want to see it as a part of me. I just want to be out of sight, out of mind, and just write. Nothing going on in the head. I just want to go, on the keyboard or with a pen or just type right over there. And just go away at it and find some fun and some joy at it. Especially workshops. Workshops is where I find the fun, because it's that real interaction. And yeah, I want to end it now because I feel like I've got my point out and I think it's okay. And it's almost 10 o'clock. I'd like to go to bed. I'm really tired. Then it doesn't ever really have to be a deep reason to why I want to write. But I'd like to give a word now to me in the future, because a lot of people are telling me it's going to happen at some point, and I want to somewhat gear for it. Corey, you're going to look at the face now, you're going to look at the hair, and you're going to think. And I love the fact that you've got a thought and a feeling behind you looking at this in the future. When you get to that point when you struggle and you get turned down a lot and you have to do all those extra shifts, and maybe you're looking for a job and you have to pay the rent, and it gets like really hard, like it gets deep, and you get to that point where you said you'll get and you think you'll push through and keep going, and you want to quit. When Jenny's gone, don't give up. You don't have to be a warrior. You don't have to fight. Just take a breath and write. Because you like it. It's something you like to do. And don't let go of that. Because life has a lot of hard things that like to attach itself onto you and weigh you down and drag you down. And I know your struggles. I know you're trying to be good. I know you're trying. Maybe you've sent in 15,000 short stories to every publisher you could ever known. Maybe you're too scared to send one. I don't know where you're at when you're going to watch this. But just don't stop. You told me that you want to write when you're 80. Or you want to write when you're 40. Or you want to have kids and continue to write. Not because you want to be the best or you want the most money or the most fame. You're doing it because you like it. You love it. And you just have fun with it. It brings a level of peace and joy and goodness in your life that things haven't. A sense of direction. Just keep doing it. And just don't stop. Because it's 2026 now. Maybe you can watch this in 2036. I was just listening to 2016 music before in the playlist, trying to have nostalgia. You know what it was like then? A lot changes in 10 years. And I mean a lot. Maybe the older I get it doesn't, because there's other anchors and other experiences that sort of plateau things. I don't know how that works. I'm young. But a lot will change. And there's no point of giving up now, because you don't know how things are going to be in 10 years. If it's stressing you out, if it's making you feel bad, and if it's making you feel hurt inside, and nobody asked you to do this but you. The only person who's hurting you is you. Smile. Have some joy. Have some peace. All you gotta do is write. And keep doing that thing you said you'd do. Yeah? Yeah. You'll make it. Wherever it is you need to be. You'll get there. Yeah. Have a good night. Good day. Whoever's watching. Hopefully nobody. Um, I'm grateful to be alive and able to do this. I love my life. I love my life, and regardless of the ups and downs, I think it's ineffable. You know, there's no way I can say it's the best thing that's ever happened. It's the only thing that's ever happened, and the magnitude of it is ineffable. I can't believe I exist. It all just seems to be so fun. Yeah, and I do remember being at a point where I wanted to end my life, and to put this on the internet forever, because why not? A little digital footprint. I've said this so many times. There's a notebook in that drawer right there, which has a plan. Get your PhD by 45, get your master's by 35, you know, do uni by, I think it was 25. Uh, you know, the XXX, these things all sort of just on a chart of ages. And on the same notebook, on the couple of pages later before, well, I know I hid it in the back page, there's a suicide note. I absolutely cherish that book because I'm doing a master's 10 years before I even said, or at 12, before I even hoped. And this is from a kid who had no hope. I'm in places now I never dreamed I would be. I've done things I never thought I could. And I'm grateful that I can see the highs and lows because that's life, you know. The highs are important, the lows are important. I'm not going to give you what's the Uguay, a Master Uguay quote. I'm not going to give you no Master Uguay quote about it all. That's not the point of this. The point is for me. I'm tired, I'm stressed, and I feel small, but I'm alive and I'm grateful, and life is big. So I'm gonna go to sleep with a smile on my face tonight, and I hope you do too. Good night.